everyone, welcome back to this cool event. And my name is Mel, and today with me I have a very cool guest. It's Yoko Ono, directly from Tokyo.
Tokyo, Japan.
Tokyo, Japan, sorry,
nice,
yeah.
nice to meet you, everybody.
So tell us more about yourself. So who are you, and what do you do? And if I may, what is your favorite anime of the moment? I know it's hard to choose. You can go with the at the moment.
At the moment, okay. Well, I'm just a regular Japanese animator. I might not sound Japanese, but I am Japanese. I'm what we just call ourselves a regular animator in Japan, but I think most people would in the West would probably refer me as a 2D hand drawn animator. Yeah, I've only went started digital about 4 years ago. So up to then, it was pencil and paper. And what an animator does is pretty different from what you might do in the West. So yeah, mm, it's a little tricky. And my favorite anime, well, um, that's tricky because I don't really have a favorite anymore, but yeah, a long time favorite for anime would probably be Otomo Katsuhiro's Memories and Miyazaki Hayao's Crimson Peak, I think. But I love all sorts of animation, so other titles do come to mind. But for 2D Japanese anime, I'd say those two are my favorite favorites.
And if
I don't
you,
want to go on a long list of them.
but if you had
Sorry.
one other from other like media like favorite animated content, what would it be?
In the West, it would be The Secret of Nim.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, my all-time favorite.
I used to be scared of it as a kid.
Oh.
I'm special. And can you share one amazing and positive event that occurred to you this year?
Yeah, I joined Discord and started lurking not only in Toon Boom but in Mel's Discord channel, and I got to uh, meet, although online, a lot of amazing people, and it's given me so much inspiration this year that I probably haven't been drawing anything not related to work this much until I joined, and then it's like, oh, I want to draw again. Besides work, yeah, I draw for work most of the times, but outside of work, yeah, everybody's given me a lot of inspiration that
I'm glad
I
to
couldn't
hear.
help. I
I'm
couldn't help
glad to hear,
myself.
and it's so important because oftentimes artists are gonna kind of forget themselves in work and only do work stuff, and
Hmm.
then sometimes we don't realize yet, but eventually we do. It does take a toll on our like mental health and on how we feel.
That's
So
true.
I completely agree. Like joining these online communities, or
Hmm.
if you have a non-online community in your area, that is also great. But much rare.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
online is great because then you have so many people around you to like, and we can all like mutually like inspire each other. So that is such a good thing.
that's
I'm
so
glad that
true.
it's making you happy.
It has. It has made me really happy.
And maybe for work or also for personal work, what are some nice and cool projects that you have worked on? Like I said, like maybe might be some cool productions you worked on, but also some personal project.
Oh, that's a tricky question because I can say everything is cool now. Like I don't have that. I don't know. I this sort of a lot of people ask me these. What's your favorite, or what was the most fun, or what was the cool sort of thing? And for the last decade, it's like it's either everything or nothing. And that that doesn't seem to work anymore for me. It's like, yeah, you can everything you can be cool, and then
I know a
uh,
while ago you told me that you enjoyed the challenge of animating horses on Attack on Titans. That is one
oh
thing.
yeah, well yeah, I almost enjoy the weird challenges. I'm sort of the uh weird animator that I don't think I'm picking the topic or the part that everybody hates. But it ends up that what I'm interested is something everybody doesn't want to do. Uh, and yeah, this year well, the fun part about the horses was most of the times these days animals are all done in 3D CG.
Oh, I didn't know
Uh,
that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably mostly to save time now,
Mm-hmm.
which I can understand. But yeah, most of the things I love doing have all sort of gone on to the 3D CG department, so I hardly get the chance to do them anymore. So yeah, when horses came along, it was like, oh, I can draw these? Really? Yes, thank you. And everybody's like, you want to draw those horses? I mean, like in Attack on Titans, they're blowing up, and there's also a whole lot of them, and they're all in full gear, and it's like, this is the project. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, it has all these uniforms. Oh, I love uniforms. It has all these gadgets. Yeah, I love drawing gadgets. It has horses in full gear, all, and there's tons of them. Hmm. Sounds like fun. Oh no, we got a crazy animator, but as a production, we love you.
Well, sometimes like something that might sound crazy to others is something you enjoy. Like I love animating animals and birds and crazy flight
Mm,
scene and stuff. And what
your
other people
birds are
think is
beautiful.
nuts, it's what I enjoy. So, but I wouldn't have known if I didn't try it. So I guess what a takeaway
That's
for that
true.
is try it. You might enjoy it. Who knows?
That's very true. A lot of things after I've started working, I've never like when you're a student, you tend to draw only things you really like, what you think you really like, and then when you become a professional, you have to take on things that you have never dreamed of drawing before. And it ends up you might really like some of that, and you're surprising yourself. It's like, oh, this is actually fun. Wow,
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd say that, but it's fun. And then you get weird, and you're categorized as the weird animator. But the
Wise
production loves
words.
you.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, worth trying everything.
and now a bit more into the technical aspect of like
Hmm.
working on different projects. This one is very interesting because sometimes we don't think about it. But do you notice a change in how you work depending on how you hold your pencil or your stylus? Like, is there a specific way that you hold your stylus, and does it change for specific tasks?
Well, when I was holding, when it was pencil, it was sort of like, you have these, oh, screen doesn't show up very well, does it? You have these thin ones, and you get these thicker ones, and of course, since I did not actually grow up in Japan, I didn't go through the training of holding the pencil properly.
Huh.
They sort of train that a lot in Japan, especially people my age. I don't know about the younger generation, but my people my age were trained, and I didn't go through that. So, yeah, I got into a little trouble at school because of that. But that aside, yeah. It's sort of I had a bad habit of really squeezing the
The
thing
tip.
I'm holding on to.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really dented. Like I would snap these, like these thin ones. These would snap.
Oh
I'd
my
be
god.
snapping somewhere around here. So I'd like the thicker ones, but still, I really grip onto them so tight. that it digs into my fingers. But
Do you
that's
have
how I
dents into your
maintain.
fingers because of it? Like, most artists here, sometimes we have like deformed fingers.
Yes, it used to be, but I saw it was really disforming my fingers, so I did
Yeah.
like my you have fingers like this, right? And it was starting to go like this. You can see it's starting to bend, even if like your nail is your li-
Yeah.
your nail is stuck like this.
I have the same. Okay.
So at that point, it was like, oh no, I should really retrain myself. And I stuck a lot of things on my pencils and pens, tried all sorts of other stuff, retrained how to hold a pencil. And then when I went digital, uh, I was able to sort of stop really clutching the stylus now because I was afraid I'd break it and I wasn't sure how much it would cost to replace it. It's not like the cheap pencil. And over the years, yeah, my it's still a little bad, but it's not digging into my finger as much anymore, and I don't really I haven't snapped any styluses yet, so I
That's
guess it
good
has
to know.
changed.
I heard you talk a bit about like how we are taught to hold our pencil in a certain way. Do you think there's a relation between the preciseness of like Japanese handwriting and the precision needed for anime work, like the very thin lines, and there's often lots of details and intricate fashion into each other. Do you think there might be a little relation between
That's very interesting.
it?
No, the answer is no, because we are notorious of having bad handwriting in our industry. Anybody who comes outside the industry, well, there's not much handwriting going around these days because everything's typed. But back in the day when I joined there was still a lot of handwriting going around, and so many people would come in and they just couldn't read what we were writing. It was sort of like the people in our industry sort of use a certain shorthand, and we
Mm-hmm.
can all read it. It's eligible for us, but anybody outside the industry is like, "What is this? This isn't Japanese. What are you writing?" It's like
That's very
Jap.
interesting to hear because oftentimes we have, artists that are not commonly from the Japanese industry wondering, like,
Mhm.
oh, well, if I don't, like, I didn't learn it from like my childhood, I'll never be able to do it. But I agree. Like, I think it's always trainable and it doesn't really matter. But I was glad to hear it from you. um, so could we talk a bit about what's the difference into the pipeline from an animation scene standpoint? Um, and in fact, before that, is there a way that we could like talk about what is the traditional pipeline workflow for a Japanese anime? Because I know there's many types of
Mhm.
pipeline, but I know there's some key difference between what we call maybe like a more um, Western approach and a um, Japanese pipeline approach.
Okay, that's tricky because the pipeline has changed so much. I can say it's sort of changed every 10 years,
Okay.
to be honest. And the pipeline I grew up with is very different because I joined during the cell era. There was
Oh,
no
so
digital
when
back
you
then.
started, it was with paper and pencil,
Yes,
and also the
eh,
cell with paint.
yes, it was on
Interesting.
film. Yes, film, cell,
Yeah.
paper, and paint, pencil, paint. It gradually changed when the. Do we really want to go into the history of Japanese anime? It's going
Briefly,
to
I
be
mean, that's what we're here for. That's interesting.
okay. I'll try to keep it as short as possible.
More like in terms of techniques, because I know, like,
Techniques.
yeah, because for example, in where I learned animation, we had
Mm-hmm.
the classic of like having rough, then you model, then you clean up, then you color, then you draw your shadows on top of your model. And I do know that
Oh,
it's a bit different when you animate, because you have the Genga, then you have a Niganga and somebody looking over it, and the shadows are part of the color. So kind of a bit like that. Like, do you notice like some key differences in this?
okay. I drew this up so as sort of like a memo, but this is probably part of the main
Wow.
main. This is the main workflow nowadays. So it starts. This is pre-production, and we start from here. It's the production, and it starts with the directors meeting, and an animator like me would start after the directors meetings over. One of the first meetings the directors start doing is the animators, because we do the layouts. Yes, what we call in Japan the gengaman. The animators is gengaman,
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you.
and dogaman. These are the two positions we refer to in as animator in Japan. So as a gengaman, we go to the meetings, and there's, well, you could say, I've heard it translated as a technical director, but you can sort of call the technical director like the episode director if we're talking about a TV series. So this is a TV series sort of thing. So the director and the production manager, we get together, have a meeting, and then after that we go away and do our work, which is doing layouts. And well, this is what we call rough keys. And what it is, it's sort of like uh, we put down the main poses and the timing. And in Japan, the Gengama is allowed to. We are given like I might be given a three-second scene,
Okay.
and this isn't locked in Japan actually at this point.
Oh, is it
Not
not?
locked.
Oh,
No, it's not. The main reason we're not paid by the length of the scene is because it's not locked.
okay,
Uh,
I
so
see.
um, so I'm also in charge of the timing. So I also am able, if I think so, like maybe the scene was going too slow, and if it was an action scene, maybe I could say no. Let's lop off 12 frames. I'm allowed to do that. Of course, I'm
That's
allowed to go
interesting.
over too. And all right, so I have my rough keys done, which has the poses and the timing. So I only get a blank sheet for the timesheet. I have to fill that on. And of course, if there's camera work and other stuff, I also have to fill that in too. And I'm done. So
So
this
in
is
a way,
past.
if we are more in your pipeline, usually like the animators have more of a say on the length of their scene and on the camera work. Like it's not locked down at the storyboard stage.
It is not locked down at all.
That is super
Even
interesting. I didn't know that.
storyboard is sort of done here,
Mm-hmm.
and things can be changed at this point and at this point. So sometimes, if the storyboard, the directors, the series directors, and the episode director sort of decide, no, we want to do this. They can, at this meeting, sort of come up with, like, for instance, two characters were facing each other, but they were like, well, this is lame. Let's go for this kind of shot. Give it more drama. This is the storyboard, but the directors want this, and they tell me this is the board we want you to do. So I lay out it as this. So this sort of thing really happens a lot, and so the storyboard is really a very um, I think it's much more loose than what you might see in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know the storyboards that everybody might get their chance to see are the storyboards that are released to the public. So they're pretty
They're m-
tidy.
they're much final because they're released to the public. I see.
Yes.
Oh, very
And
interesting.
yeah, and it's become very tidy over the years, but I used to be in an era that this is actually the storyboard. They hand us this. Well, I've
Oh,
seen worse than this. And
okay.
yeah, and like let's say this is Mel and this is Yoko. That's all I get.
That's incredible. Okay.
So yeah, you could say artistic freedom. Yes, we have a lot of freedom. We have to build from this. But yeah,
That is also lots
and
of responsibility. Wow.
it is. And that's why there's a lot of people in our industry that say layout is everything,
Mm-hmm.
which I sort of disagree with. I know a lot of things are locked down here, but if it's animation, it has to move too. So I don't agree with the layout is everything, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but there are a lot of people say this is the most important part of drawing the animation, especially as an animator. So once layouts and keys are done, the director will check it, and the art director will check it. The sakang, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. And then we have the series sakang, uh, sort of like he or she is the chief of the sakang. Um, so at least these three people are checking it, and the series directors and other sorts of directors might also chip in and do checking. And then it goes on to genga, what
So
most
Genga
people
is
might know
kind
as
of what
keys.
we are used to as being a it's like the key drawings, right? It's the main drawings of your shot.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. And okay, so back in the day, most of the times this was like if I got to do this, this was given back to me, so I got to do this as well. This was one set. But nowadays, the schedule is really tight, and everybody's going everywhere. So, in my case, most of my things are handed on to someone called the Nigen. So this
Okay.
person, um, a lot of new Gangaman sort of use it as a training base, but there are a lot of veterans who choose just to do this. So now we go into all those detailed keys, all those little details that the Japanese animation is well known for. So at this point, like, um, okay, I have a character here.
And if I'm not wrong, storyboard in Japan is called ikonte, right?
Yes, ekonte,
It's very interesting. I'm taking these little notes.
ekonte. Yes. So at this point, you put in all the things you need to, all the little highlights and all the shadows. And if this guy has stitches, you have to put in the stitches, make them all work, sort of thing. So you get the Genga. And you hand that in, and all the people chip in to check it again. Oops, doesn't go here. And it goes to the chief of Donga, and these people check before going to the Dongaman to make sure everything's in order. And then the Dongaman. I guess in the West this would be in between. I've heard of breakdowns, but
Yeah, I think
breakdowns can be in here too, I
okay,
think.
I see.
So it's sort of like half and half. So at this point the keys are cleaned up. So I know I'm not sure if they still do that in the West, but the productions I worked on sort of I remember being really puzzled that the key animators do the cleanup in Western productions as well.
Usually we don't. I mean, from what I've been accustomed to, you will have rough, then maybe the same animator or another one is going to put it on model, so it's still not
Hmm.
clean. It's just putting on model, and then another person is going to do the cleanup lines of the
Oh, right.
animation.
Okay, so that's what our Sakan does.
Okay.
These are the people who put it on model. So it's going to be put on model once in the layout, and they're going to do it again in the Genga.
But also one very interesting part that I've learned from working a little bit in
Hmm.
Japan is that here often we will have the whole rough and the whole model done in one go, and then the whole cleanup is done separately. But from what I
Hmm.
understand, for the Ganga and the Nigenga
Hmm.
drawings, they're already cleaned, and then there's no full rough layer. Like the Ganga and Nigenga poses that are already cleaned gets handed out to
Hmm.
the Doga people, and they clean up directly within the two keys, right?
Yeah, they clean up the keys itself, and then they go in and do
The in betweens.
the in betweens, and they have to clean up their own in betweens.
Okay, that's impressive.
So, oh, okay. Yeah, that was what I was sort of confused as, like
Hmm.
what we regard as rough animation and what the West regards as rough animation seems to be different, because I remember you asking me, you guys don't do roughs, and it's like, no, we do roughs.
But
Of
it's
course we do
different.
roughs, but yeah. So it was like, oh, I guess, like, we do share certain terms, but
Hmm.
what it actually is really different. So yeah, yeah, the rough animation part is like that, I guess. So yeah, and then well, this is where all the the actual drawings everybody will see, the final drawings are done here. So all the drawings done at this stage, they you'll never see them. The public will never see them unless you go to those art galleries that sort of have the Genga and Sakan on display. I know they make books of them nowadays, but yeah.
Hmm.
So that's the only way the public actually sees uh, the drawings that are done at this stage. So everything done on film. These are the people, the Dogamon. They've cleaned up the keys and they've done the in betweens. And it goes to check. And usually at this point, it's handed to the people who the um, I guess you'd call them the color designers,
Hmm.
because the series might have like the of course the color is fixed for the main characters at the pre-production stage, but there's always going to be new things, other things going on. So at this point, the color designer comes in and puts in that, or it used to be, but depending on the schedule, they might be putting those things in here or over in here or even here.
Yeah, sometimes
It's crazy.
we have like no matter the production or the industry, we usually have a plan, but sometimes we have to go around the plan to have a better plan.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
It's
So you can
flexible.
say, yeah, you can say the Japanese are very, very flexible when it comes to that part.
Interesting.
And yeah, and then these are the, well, at this point, it may be pencil and paper up to here, but from this point, it's fully digital now. We do not have cell and paint anymore. We can't manufacture it like we used to. So
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like
this
the
is,
coloring process is really, really, really like majorly digital now. There's really like
yes,
we
but
won't see an anime on the television right now that has like uh painted cells.
not even in film. I think the
Oh,
last
that's
cell
really
film
interesting.
has, yeah, actually, yeah, television. animation held out a little bit longer, but now it's all digital. And so is the we call it the photography department, but I think it would be more like composition in the West.
Mm-hmm.
This used to be the department that did all the shooting on the film, and they've just the department just completely switched over to digital. So these guys are all digital now. And of course, when you go back to the layouts, there's always the beautiful BG artists. I think a majority of them are also in digital. They went digital way faster than we did. We, as in the animator department. So everybody else is pretty much digital, except us. Yeah. And around this part, it's really changed a lot over the years, and there's a big jumble. So this is sort of like the main flow, but I'm sure a lot of things go on there that I don't even know about now. And after the shooting, we go to the first edition rush, and then we go to retakes and stuff like that, and then we hand in the film, and it reaches the public.
Okay, that's thank you so much for this breakdown. It's really, really, really interesting to get to see all that because yeah, it's not often we when we see behind the scenes we see like the big pictures, but never in such details. That was really appreciated. Thank you. And
I guess this is the main part too. The the voices.
oh, that is right. Yeah, yes, it is much different. So please tell
That
us.
Yeah. In the perfect world, this would be all done colored, colored film, colored beautiful film, and the voice actors would act to these. Reality is they shoot this. I might get in trouble for saying this, but it's the truth. So,
We can edit it out.
no. If they're going to get angry, then the industry has to rethink how things are done. If you're going to be angry at me for that.
That is fair.
Um, a lot of the voice actors nowadays will, I guess they're allowed to sort of a creative freedom here too, because they get to voice act to the keys.
So in to cut it short, like when you receive your cut for a production, the sound like the dialogue is not there, so you animate
Mhm.
without dialogue, and dialogue is added after the keys.
Dialogue is always after, and even if they do record before we're assigned our scenes for whatever reason, we don't have access to that sound, unlike Western
Okay.
productions. So we have no idea how the voice actors have done the scene. So you can imagine how you feel like when when you see the show and you are devastated because the voice acting and what the voice actor had in mind a certain way of doing things. We had in mind I had in mind, if I'm the animator, a certain way of doing things, and they clash.
I mean, it's not exactly the same
Hmm.
because usually in Western when we animate, um, um, we do have the sound, but very often we're gonna have scratch tracks, which
Hmm.
are temporary voices. So we animate to these voices in the emotions and acting that the voice provides, and then you look it up on TV, and it's like, huh? Like they took a different voice actor, which took the scene a completely different way. So that's why I think I think it just explains why oftentimes we look at animation that portrays an emotion and the voice just doesn't do the same thing. And now this just explains it furthermore.
Hmm. And the neat part about digital,
Mm-hmm.
this didn't happen in the film era, but the neat part about digital is because it's so easy to change things. even I know in the West, a very special and a must-have skill for any animator is to be able to um, animate according to the voice. So I've seen a lot of students studying. They have these voice tracks. I don't know where they get them, but they have all these voice tracks and they have all these actions, and it's in the reel. So the reels have voice acting in them. That doesn't happen in Japan because we never do that. We never really animate according to the voices. And yes, there's also a cultural reason behind that. The Japanese don't, even in real life, we just don't move as much. There's not much movement when we talk. I've seen a lot of people come from the West and say, "Oh, anime is like nobody talks like that," and they see the actual Japanese and say, "Sorry, I take that back. Yeah, you actually talk like that."
But I've
Oh,
traveled so many places, and it is very interesting to see how, um, yeah, there is many differences between every places on this beautiful planet. So yeah, I totally get it. Like every every place has their different um, behavior, and usually how people act and stuff. That's very interesting also to hear that. Huh.
yeah. Oh, and back to the digital part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you're able to tweak things so easily as digital, they can pre-record this, and although I do, like as an animator, I do the timing. They can always go in at this point and match things.
Okay.
So at this point, they might rewrite the timesheet, to match what the art is and what the dialogue is, and that reaches the public. So
Well,
it's become more uh, nothing has to be locked down because we're able to sort of go in and change things so easily in digital. A lot of things are left open that it's changeable down the line, and that's nice in some points, and sometimes it's better to have not to leave things open, because if you work with a team that just leaves things open, it's like at the end of the production, they have heaps of things they have to solve
mm-hmm.
at the end, which could have been solved earlier. So yeah, that depends on the team.
Okay.
But yeah, having an open end does have its benefits, and this is probably one of them.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. It was very, very
Okay,
interesting.
I think I went on too long.
No, it's totally fine. Um, and in all that very, very big pipeline, do you have a favorite part? So, what is the job you usually prefer to do in all of that? Because I know you've been a bit all over the place in that pipeline with the
Yeah,
years.
I've worked on every part here, and I've even assisted the directors and stuff like that. But I originally joined the industry. Really, I've heard this stories of these legendary dongamans, and it was like, oh, cool! I want to be like that. But when I joined the industry, it was not possible to make a living as a dongaman. So I was bumped up to these positions, and yeah, yeah, I've come to really like every position there is, but first love is here. I
Yeah.
hardly get to do it, but yeah,
Well, that's
the
very interesting because no matter the industry, and especially in the animation industry, I think it's safe to say that your first job is not always your dream job either. You might have a goal to look up to, but it's usually like a slow climb. Like you just have to try things out and make your way up to there. And I think the takeaway is that I think there can be enjoyment find in many different jobs, even if it's not the job you actually aimed for. I think it's important to try and find something that can like make you grow in a way.
Hmm. Like I always think of any professional job as like an iceberg.
Ah, that's great.
Like people who are not in the industry, whatever industry it is, they might see this, the tip of the iceberg. If you look into things, you might find out about this part. Only the iceberg knows what's going down here. And that's the
Only the
people in
expert.
whatever industry. And it's such a big thing. You never realize what's going on until you are part of that. And there's so much going on. So yeah, I went to an animation training course, and I thought I knew pretty much about the industry. I looked into things. Although yeah, it was a time and error. It was pre internet, so of course I didn't get my hands on as much information as people can nowadays. But I did look into things as much as I could, and I thought I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. Uh, this is all I knew.
And speaking of trying new things and new jobs, like we were saying a bit before,
Mhm.
um, recently you've been working a bit more and more with Storyboard Pro and Harmony, and I am curious. So, um, what are some of your favorite like features in Storyboard Pro that you've known so far that kind of makes your job easier?
Storyboard Pro, I'm still really learning both of them. I've only really, really scratched the beginner's surface. Storyboard Pro, I think the fact that yeah, you can. I haven't actually made that much storyboards, but I can tell that being able to make what you call in the West animatics, or do a lot of pre um, you can sort of make a lot of choices at this point.
So you like the flexibility that Storyboard Pro kind of gives you because then you can make your drawing and time them and make modifications, like slight modification as you go.
Yeah, I think it's a chance to sort of lock down more things, like make decisions early on, like we used to do in film. Because in film, there we couldn't go back and change things after a certain they go past a certain point, because it took time, it took a lot of money. So we had to sort of plan ahead and have things done. But and the digital era sort of allowed us freedom. But on the other hand, a lot of productions started pushing back the problems they needed to solve. So for people who don't know the film era, or have sort of fallen into sort of pushing um, things back because they don't know how it might turn out, or they might have thought um, that that's not what they had in their head. But when they see the film, it's like, oh, okay, let's go back and do that. I think they can sort of it's easier to manage, sort of maybe troubleshoot obvious things at this point. I think the storyboard makes Pro makes it very easy to do that. And also the although I'm not able to actually do it yet, I know how uh, 3D CG, you can sort of bring in 3D models and do
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of camera work. I've translated for one of their courses, so I know what goes on, although I wasn't not able to maneuver like that. But yeah, the people attending, they've already the younger directors already know a lot about 3D CG, and I think I saw a lot of freedom there, because 3D CG is sort of like we can't make anime without it anymore. It's just not possible. The schedule doesn't allow it. A lot of people are really reliant on it. So I think it's essential that since we have to work with it, why not use it to its full potential? and I think that makes it's easier to implement that at the storyboard stage. Um, I think the directors will also know how to manage that better. Well, so although I'm not at that stage yet, I can see lots of potential there.
Yeah, I mean, we learn, like everybody learns step by step. So yeah, we cannot be expert in the software in 3 days.
Yeah, I'm
But
hoping to be able to, you know, bring in all the 3D stuff and be able to sort of play around with it myself. But I'm still learning how to.
I'm sure you'll
Take on.
manage.
Yeah, but
um, and
why not?
when it comes to harmony,
Mhm,
is there because I know you animated a little bit of things for us in the past.
mhm.
Um, was there some things that you really enjoyed in harmony, like maybe like three or something, a couple of features that really sparked your fancy?
Uh, well, I can really tell this is a software made for animators. That was the first time I um, started touching harmony. It was overwhelming because I don't know. I still don't know anything about cutout animation. I know the theory of the media, but I've never tried it. Um, I don't know anything about rigging, but I did take the course, and I'm still confused. Uh,
We never stop being confused about rigging. It's such a big thing. It's always ever changing, and we have to be on our toes about it. So I understand that.
it looks like a lot of fun, but yeah, I've only been able to sort of do it hypotherically. Wait, I might be not be saying that word right, but yeah, in theory, I'm only
I
been
mean,
able.
we're both not speaking um, in our main language, so I get you. It's fine.
Sorry, English speakers.
We're doing our best.
Yes, we are. Don't kill us. Yeah. Where was I? All right, it happened.
Favorite things about harmony. Yay.
Yes, the harmony. Yeah. The the part I like best is the ability to sort of keep on drawing. I know in the West you might call it pose to pose, and
Mm-hmm.
what was it? Straightforward,
Yeah, straight ahead, right?
straight ahead, S- straight.
I mean, like using the FNG shortcut to kind
Mhm.
of draw, then making you drawing without having to stop your flow.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm able to do both now because I've done both enough. But I started out being this kind of person, straight ahead,
Mm-hmm.
which is not regular in Japanese animation. But at that time I was working at a Western studio, so that was fine. I harmony was the best when it comes to this. It was stress
Yeah.
free. I could just keep on drawing, and it wasn't a mess afterwards. Like when I've tried others, like, you can keep on drawing, but then it's a mess afterwards. You have to sort things out, or you have to put things in the timeline, and then things get lost, or things don't go in where it should have been, sort of thing. But yeah, it's sort of like I can just animate straight ahead, look back, not too much changes, keep working. Of course, it's good for post to post too, but yeah, the strength is here, and I guess that is because it was a software made in the West. Because um, yeah, I think the majority of animators who do straight ahead are like you can only do straight ahead if it's like full animation.
Yeah, usually I do straight ahead for FX more than like character animation in a way.
Yeah, yeah, effects, and action
Clothing, maybe.
scenes. Mhm.
Oh, action scenes, you're right. Yeah, so that you don't lose the momentum because onion
Oh,
skin can only take you so
yeah,
far.
that's true. Like if it's slow acting, maybe post to pose is better.
Mm-hmm.
especially in limited animations, like in Japan. There's sort of like um, there's a beauty in the pose that's like the hold pose. So they want this hold pose and they want this pose as a hold, and you have to hit that. And if you go off, they're going to correct you anyways.
Yeah,
So
because when you go straight ahead, usually it's very easy to lose the character, right? It's gonna like start to melt in a way. I forgot what the name for it is, but like when your thing is not a model anymore, it just melts.
that's true. Yeah, like if it's yeah, turning your head, sure you can do pose to pose. But if it's like sort of all right, Piero, don't sue me. The Naruto one. Oh no, wait, you can do pose to pose in Naruto one. Um, oh, what can I do? All right, roundabout kicks. You're gonna you're gonna kick and you're gonna spin. That's just better, like going pose to pose. Like yeah, you can't frame this and say, oh, he's going to be here at this point and he's going to be here at that point.
Yeah, it's easier for planning.
Yeah, like this is like no, he's going to slow down here. You can't do pose to pose in these kind of actions, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, you either have to move him down here or you're going to have to make him smaller to give him dimension of
So much thing to think about.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, like going like that. No, this right. Yeah. And yeah, there are animators that aren't good at this in my country. So yeah, I was one of the people who liked straight ahead better, and I had to really learn to do pose to pose.
I mean, no matter the industry, I guess that's a very important point. Like some animators will be better at action shots, some will
Mhm.
nail emotion shots, some prefer straight ahead and pose to pose. Yeah, that's. I think that's why there's so many of us, so many of us to do different kind of jobs, and yeah,
Yeah,
very, very good.
I don't think there is a right way or wrong way. It's just the way that
Mhm.
you're more comfortable with, and even if you're uncomfortable with the other way, it doesn't mean you don't like you can learn to do it, and then if you're able to do both, you can sort of
Yeah, it's just a
use
matter of being kind of flexible because if your
yeah
studio
flex.
wants you to do it one way, then you have to like comply because it's a teamwork thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I've never had the studio say this is the way you have to animate. I've never heard of that, but yeah, it's left to the animators how to animate. They probably wouldn't care how you animate them,
For the final
but they
result.
yeah, but they will
Okay.
care about how many drawings you put in because that's where the money cost comes in. And yeah, the Japanese are very strict about that.
Okay, that's very cool. We have about 8 minutes left, so that
Oh no,
this is no, this is perfect. We're right on time. So,
I've hardly
um,
drawn any.
what? No, you've drawn so much. It's totally fine. Don't worry. And just for fun, do you have a couple of common terms um, from the anime industry that someone who's not familiar with the anime industry could maybe learn? Like, how we talked about key drawings and breakdown being ganga and niganga, storyboard
Mhm.
being ikonte. Do you have some other common words that can be useful? Maybe like two or three.
Mm, like what? Sorry,
Um,
didn't get you.
other words from the from English animation terms that how they translate into English. Do you know a couple ones that could be interesting aside from like storyboard or Genga and Niganga? Do you have other ones just for fun?
Just for fun. I don't know.
Like how is the cleanup and in between part called?
Oh, in Japanese?
Yeah.
Cleanup is Rinnapu.
Okay.
And in between, we call it nakawari.
Oh, that's interesting. And the coloring, the stage where we color in the shadows and the colors, does it have a name?
Oh, right. Okay. We call the coloring department shiange,
Okay.
and the coloring is aishoku.
That is very interesting. Thank you for sharing. And in terms of like little final-ish words, do you have any general uh, um, advice for an artist that sometimes because artists we are a little bit sensitive people, and sometimes we have like these passes where we draw and we try things and it just doesn't work. And either you draw and like it doesn't work, or you don't have any like momentum or inspiration, and it like it just doesn't work. Do you have any like how do you cope up with that if it happens or something?
Well, this might not be my personal experience because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't care when people said that to me, but I've seen too many people be really disheartened by the saying, you don't have what it takes.
Oh yeah, that hurts.
And yeah, and um, it's not true because sure, there are super geniuses in this world that nobody can keep up with. Yes, there are that kind of people. But if you want to become a professional, the talents you need to become a professional can be acquired. You don't have to be born with it. I've seen a lot of people that didn't draw anything before joining the industry, and they suddenly thought, I want to draw, and went 2 years at school, able to go. Maybe they weren't the best artists when they joined the industry, but some turned out to be very famous animators. Maybe not famous to the public, but in the industry, they have a very good reputation. Um, and yeah, I've teached a lot too, and there's going to be people that say that, but what they're actually saying is you don't have what it takes yet.
Yet.
But
Yeah.
maybe at this point you don't. And the word is yet, but it's in brackets, and people don't hear that and they give up. It's not true. It's not true. You can, and it's going to be hard work for some people. Some people have it easier than other people, but no, becoming a professional isn't that it can be acquired. It might take a little more work than some people. It might take a little bit more time, but it's not some um, thing you have to be born with or something too out of reach that's impossible to
I think
happen.
that's a very interesting way to put it, and much more realistic than sometimes what uh, what we hear, because it's oftentimes you hear like, yeah, don't listen to them, like you're perfect, like you're good. It's like, no, like sometimes it's true, you might not have it yet to make it,
It's yet.
but I think the takeaway is that like in a realistic way, like we just said, like some people
Mhm.
are indeed born with it, like they have more certain
It is true.
skills in the
Yes, there
drawing
are
part.
geniuses. There
They
are
are
geniuses.
wonder stars. And
Of
sometimes for
course.
equal work, they will be better at certain skills than others at equal work. Some
Hmm.
of us have to put the extra work, but what
Hmm.
me and Yoko are saying is that um, if you work your if you work a lot, like it is possible to achieve, like to go and be like a professional quote unquote animator. Um, so if someone tells you that you're not gonna make it, like if they don't put it, you need to put it yourself. Put the yet in brackets in
Yet.
there, because yeah, like I mean, I don't know for you, but I'm a good example of that, because I was not a superstar in animation school at all. It never came easy to me. I had to work my butt off for a lot of things, and I still do. But we
Oh,
all make it at different speed, and it's totally fine.
Oh, I was I'm if you're going to talk about talent, I'm average, probably below average. I'm an average animator now. I'm sort of astounded that I made it into the industry, but the one thing I was I did love drawing. I didn't care what other people might think about it. I was aware I wasn't that good, and at that point, I did have although I did join the Japanese anime industry because I did spend my childhood in the West. I didn't quite get anime, and I had a hard time with that, but I love drawing it. And it did pay off in the long run.
Nice.
So yeah, what I did have was I loved what I was doing, even if people hated it. I loved it, and I wasn't. Um, I didn't mind working hard for it because I loved doing it. I probably loved it a little bit too much, and I should have taken things a little bit more easily. But well, in the end, it paid off. So yeah, yeah, you have to believe in yourself at a certain point, but not because it, it might sound like I went in really blindly, but yeah, I did have a back, like what do you call it? A back black back plan,
Yeah,
and
backup
there was
plan.
backup plan, and there was a point like if I can't make it to this point, then I will like. I can't hang off my parents for the rest of my life. I have to be independent. So there was a point like if I don't do certain things till this point, I'll admit I didn't have what it takes, but at least I tried. But it ended up like I'm still around. So yeah, maybe it's not that hard. But yeah, it wasn't easy either. I just enjoyed it too much.
And I can say
Maybe I'm
that
a masochist.
you grew up into a fantastic animator because I love to see all your work. It's so cool. And
Oh, thank
congratulations for making it.
you.
You got this.
Yay. Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I don't want to be better because, yeah, it's a long way to go. But there are amazing people out there that there's no end to the um, all the inspiration you can get from all the people out there, and you get excited.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today because it was phenomenal. I had a super great time. And I mean, I
Thank you
always
for
have a great time
having
talking with you.
me. Oh, thank you very much for having me, and I hope this helps somebody even a little bit, and
I'm
maybe
sure it
takes
will.
off a little bit of weight from the shoulders. And it's okay to have fun.
Yeah. And do you have any closing words? Any last thing you wanted to say?
Uh, just draw, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
not overthink. Just draw. It doesn't have to be
Oh,
a masterpiece. Just doodle. Anybody
that
can
is a
doodle.
great advice.
And art, like as if you're going to be a professional, sure, there's a commercial quality, but art, everybody can do art.
That is a wise couple of words right there. Thank you so much. And to push on that, remember that to make a good drawing, you will probably need to make 100 ugly ones, but that's okay. Just draw them. Don't think. Just draw lines, and eventually it's
True,
just gonna
true.
come around.
Like if you get happy with 1 out of 100 drawings, I'd say that's lucky.
Yeah.
1 out of 100? Oh, that's pretty good.
All right. Well,
When you
thank you
think
so
of,
much for joining
okay.
us, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I had a wonderful time.
And I hope that everybody who's watching this, you're gonna have fun with all the other amazing content and videos that we're gonna share with you
Ah,
in the
yeah,
following
yeah.
days. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to see all the other things too.
me too.
Okay.
All right. Have a nice day, everyone.
Have a nice day.